Hey, what's good? It's Marshall Mathers IV here. I just wanted to make a video message today addressing all non-famous Black Americans. And this video is not at all racist, so please, by all means, do not take it that way. And also, do not take it in a way like I'm bashing any of you of that certain particular race that may not at all be aware of or have no idea of what I'm about to say that is nothing but the truth. And don't take my word for it. Do your own research after you watch this video if you do. And anyway, here it goes. I want to first start off with the fact that hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, the black African slaves that were brought over here to the United States of America, this country of the USA, a long ass fucking time ago that pretty much everyone knows by now, like really well, there were about 600,000 slaves that were brought over by the white man to this country. And you know how the white man was able to get black African slaves in the first place from the country of Africa. And a lot of you black people here in America don't know this, but again, this is the truth, but don't take my word for it. Do your own research and make sure you look at a trustworthy like article or source or whatever. But what I'm about to say is fact, either way, which is the fact that those black Africans, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, in the country of Africa, were sold to the white man, literally, no shit, literally by their own fucking people. And it honestly shocks me that all the black youth today, pretty much, maybe not all, but it definitely seems like all, or at least definitely a lot of the black youth here in the country of America are so bitter, so hostile, and just so pissed off, so upset, so disappointed, and just so enraged at the white man for enslaving their ancestors that us white people today had nothing at all to do with. And, you know, another thing is, I mean, black people for hundreds of years by now, or at least the past, I don't know, 160 years or something like that, have been free and have had way more opportunities and privileges than any of those black slaves who had been enslaved for a long ass fucking time. But I mean, I don't remember any of those slaves ever complaining. I mean, honestly, I'm just telling you from my own personal experience and research. I don't remember any of those slaves complaining. They did try to escape. They tried to run. They were shot in the back, and the ones who were able to escape were rescued and saved by other white people who were good white people who cared about those slaves so deeply and hated slavery and did not agree with it. And another fact that all black people should know, including famous black people, is the fact that only 1% of white people own slaves. That is just an all-around fact. I am not talking out of my ass. I'm not making that up out of fucking thin air or some shit. I am speaking the truth. I'm speaking just a flat-out fact. Regardless if you want to believe me or not. That's up to you. That's your choice and decision to make at the end of the day. But the truth of the matter of fact is that only 1% of white people own slaves. And you know why that was? Because after all, slaves cost money. And they were owned by wealthy ass fucking people. Wealthy ass white people, that is. And the white people who did own the slaves were wicked as fuck. I mean, literally, they were pretty much Satanists, if you will. I mean, they were evil ass scumbag piece of trash men. And I mean, another thing though to note is that some of the white people who actually even owned black slaves didn't treat him as badly as other slave owners did. They would actually make friends with their slaves, and they actually treated them pretty nicely and respectfully, even though they were their slaves. And eventually the ones who were more nicer and kinder and more compassionate and loving or whatever to their slaves eventually let them go. But will the mainstream media, will the mass media, CNN, MSNBC, NBC, Fox News, and so on and so forth, ever say that or ever admit that themselves? Fuck no, they won't. Because they want black people to be emotionally and mentally enslaved and have their brains or minds or whatever manipulated and confused. And they want to make it seem like all white people were slave owners. Yep, exactly. All white people were slave owners. So each and every single white person you see today is nothing more than a descendant of a racist, evil, black African murdering, whipping, raping, slave owner. I don't know. I mean, it's just fucking crazy. And it's unfair. It's just unfair and unjust and just not right at all to blame an entire race of people for what? 1 fucking percent. 1%. That's so fucking low. That is such a low percent of people that own slaves. That actually literally owned slaves. I am dead ass serious. I am not bullshitting with any of you. And also, believe it or not, but my ancestors did not move to America until the 1920s. No lie. And, you know, when my ancestors did come to the United States in the 1920s, they actually were called Quakers, which were people who helped the black African slaves escape through underground railroad tunnels. And honestly, I'm not necessarily all proud and boastful about that myself, but I do think that's pretty cool. And it does make me happy to know, oh, thank God none of my ancestors were slave owners, and I can back that up. And in the same way, like, not most or all white people were slave owners. I mean, honest to God, a lot of white people disagreed with slavery all around, regardless of which race of people were enslaved. Because it did not have to do with race. It had to do with the fact that slavery is wrong. I mean, it is just flat out, straight up wrong. At the end of the day, it's evil. It's not right. And it's not okay for anyone to do. And here's another thing the mainstream mass media will never talk about or ever mention or shed light on, if you will, to any of the black youth here in the country of America, in the United States of America, which is the fact that guess who fought and also died brutal, gruesome, painful, intense deaths to try to help free the black African slaves hundreds of years ago, or like 160 years ago, or whatever it was. White people. That's right, it was white people. And you know how there was about like 600,000 slaves from Africa taken over on a boat here to the country of America. Well, guess how many white people died for the freedom of the black African slaves? And I'm sure these white people had families of their own. I'm pretty sure they had lives that were totally and completely worth living, but they gave their life. They sacrificed themselves. They risked their life. Even the ones who didn't die still were risking their life to help free the black African slaves because they cared about them deeply, and they loved them, and they respected them, and they weren't happy with slavery. They were not okay with it. And another guy who was not okay with it, who was also white, Abraham fucking Lincoln, one of the greatest presidents of America that ever lived. And a lot of Democrats think and believe that Abraham Lincoln was a Democrat, or a liberal, if you will, which is just a false bullshit narrative pushed and promoted by all these liberal shills and fucking famous ass piece of shit sellout black people who are racist as fuck and black supremacists and who have literally black privilege. I mean, how much more clear do I have to be? Honestly. I mean, literally, any famous black person is way more privileged than any fucking normal ass, ordinary, everyday, average white person, including any black people. Yet black people still worship and look up to and praise and fucking fall at the feet of these fucking black celebrities. Why? Because they're black. And you know what's also crazy is how a lot of these black rappers in Hollywood, no disrespect to them or anything, but I think one thing that's honestly kind of sad that I feel like black people in this country don't even think about really deeply and realize themselves, that I myself do, because I'm a deep person and I think really hard and deep and long about certain things, which is the fact that a lot of these black rappers will always try to appeal to the poor black people of America that will never become famous and never become rich and never become like fucking Hollywood stars and celebrities like those other fucking sellout black Democrat celebrities of Hollywood. And yet they keep trying over and over and over and over again to appeal and to try to relate to and connect with and resonate with black people that are poor and not famous and not living in fucking mansions and having millions of fucking dollars of a net worth and having tons of cars and fucking hundreds or thousands of bitches and being in hundreds or thousands of movies and shows and video games and so on and so forth. Like, what the fuck? Why? How does that make sense? How in the world does that make sense that these black entertainers who are rich as fuck and super privileged and super fucking famous try to appeal to the poor black audience of America, and they try to relate to them and connect with them and resonate with them? Yeah, I'm sure they definitely feel like you can relate to them and resonate with them and connect with them. Yeah, sure. You only live in a mansion and probably have a mansion in every fucking country in every state and have like 5 cars at each one of your mansions, and then you have like hundreds and thousands of bitches, and then you have millions or at least hundreds of thousands or whatever of fans, depends on how famous you are, I guess, and have millions and millions and millions or even billions of dollars in your fucking net worth. And you're trying to relate and resonate and connect with poor black Americans? That doesn't make any fucking sense at all. At least not to me anyways, it doesn't. And I don't know why poor underprivileged, deprived, oppressed black Americans would feel themselves like, oh yeah, I can relate to Jay-Z, and I can relate to Kanye West, and I can relate to A$AP Rocky and Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole and all these other black rappers. Like, what? So you, as a poor, deprived, oppressed, underprivileged black person who's living in the ghetto, can relate to a black famous person who's a millionaire or maybe a billionaire and has clothing lines and accessory lines and has millions of cars and millions of houses and millions of bitches. I mean, I'm kind of exaggerating here, but you get my point. Like, why the fuck is our country like this? Why the fuck is it like this? I don't get it. It does not make sense to me. And, you know, I feel like when, kind of backtracking a bit, I feel like when the 600,000, again, 600,000 white Americans from the North died, brutal, severe, gruesome, bloody, gory deaths to try to save and to try to help bring the freedom of the black African slaves here in America. Like, I feel like that was kind of meant to happen because it's kind of like payment in a way, if you think about it, as especially a black American. Like, the white man took you from your homeland and took 600,000 of you to the country of America and enslaved you, and then 600,000 white men of America who completely and totally disagreed with slavery 100%, or should I say 1,000%, and died, sacrificed themselves pretty much, put their lives on the line for your ancestors. But it was for a good cause, though. I think it was for a great cause, as a matter of fact. And it surprises me that no black people seem to appreciate all the white people who died trying to fight for the freedom of the black African slaves. It just blows my mind. It shocks me. I'm honestly surprised that no black people of today, and I'm not saying they should be, but I feel no respect from them, like, coming from black people to those white people who risked their lives a long time ago to abolish slavery. And it was literally brother against brother. Literally. I mean, no joke. I mean, it was the North against the South. It was people of the same fucking country. It wasn't like, oh, they were fighting against a foreign race of another country or some shit. No, they were literally fighting pretty much their brothers. North against the South. The South wanted to keep slavery going. The South did not want to abolish slavery. It wanted to keep that shit going for as long as fucking possible. And if it weren't for Abraham Lincoln, and if it weren't for all 600,000 of those white Caucasian men who risked their lives, who probably had families of their own, children, wives, and lives worth living, risked all that to bring forth the freedom of the black African slaves. And yet, no black people seem to, like, appreciate that, and to be grateful and thankful of that, and to be appreciative of that, and to be happy about that. No, they would rather still stay bitter and hostile and vengeful and pissed off and enraged at pretty much almost all white people of today, acting as if all white people are racists and all white people are KKK members and neo-Nazis and white supremacists. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you serious? Are you joking? Or are you really serious? And if so, I feel sorry for you. I really do. I feel so bad for you that you're so deceived and so blind. Like, wake the fuck up. You're being manipulated and you're being led astray. You're being deceived. You're being fooled and tricked and lied to by the mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, NBC, Fox News, so on and so forth. And you've just been buying this lie and notion over and over and over again that all white people are racist and all white people are KKK members, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and like, what the fuck did we do? What the fuck did we do to deserve this? I mean, honestly, tell me, what the fuck did we do? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. And then, you know, one thing that also really shocks me is the fact that, you know, a lot of black people seem to be really fond of and appreciate materialism in this country. For instance, black people of America seem to really love gaming consoles, video games, vehicles, buildings, houses, apartments, money, jobs, gaming computers if they have one, and just any electronics, cell phones, TVs, movies, shows, just so on and so forth. And guess who all that shit came from? And I'm not saying like, oh, the people who invented it were so good and so wonderful. No, the people who invented these things are evil as fuck. But they were still genius and smart and wise and intelligent enough to invent these things that many black people use and love to use and enjoy just as much as the next white person does. And yet, guess who it came from? Guess whose hands? Guess whose labor it came from? White people. Guess who invented vehicles? White people. Guess who invented gaming consoles, video games, movies, shows, TVs, gaming computers, cell phones, iPads, iPods, tablets, fridges, so on and so forth? White people. And yet, black people here in America don't seem to appreciate who the fuck it came from. They don't seem to be grateful and thankful. They can't say thank you, white people. Thank you for your ancestors, for fighting and dying for our ancestors, for them to be free. Thank you, Abraham Lincoln, even though it pretty much cost even him his life. I mean, he was shot in the back of the fucking head. Shot in the back of the head by a crazy guy named John Wilkes Booth. And I don't ever hear black people say, thank you, Abraham Lincoln. Thank you to all 600,000 of those white Americans from the North who helped fight and die for the freedom of our ancestors. Thank you. We could not appreciate you more in your legacy, and you'll never be forgotten. And you know what? Believe it or not, but guess who also fought alongside the white men from the North, the white soldiers from the North? You'll be shocked, probably. Black slaves. That's right. Working together. Working in unity. Not being segregated or separated or divided. Putting their differences aside. And joining together. Joining forces. Hand in hand. Side by side. Fighting together as if they were brothers. And that is cool as fuck. That's awesome. Knowing that some of the black slaves, I don't know how many, but I know it was at least some, fought alongside the white soldiers in the Civil War from the North. That's right. But does the mainstream media ever talk about that? No, of course not. They would rather make you believe that the slaves hated the white people. And even though they fought and died for their freedom, oh, so what? They deserve to die anyway, because they're white devils, and white supremacists, and white KKK members, and white neo-Nazis, and they're racist as fuck against black people, and they blah 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 blah. Just shut the fuck up. That is so disrespectful to all those white men who died fighting for the freedom of your ancestors, and you can't say a simple thank you? Who the fuck are you? Seriously. And I'm not saying, oh, I hate black people about this, but it does kind of make me mad. It does kind of upset me. It does kind of like, wow, they have no appreciation, no gratitude, no simple thank you, no appreciation, nothing. They can't give any sort of acknowledgement to any white people at all. None. Not a single one. That's what shocks me. I don't get it. I just really do not get it. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. And my ancestors were Quakers. They weren't even slave owners. And I said it before and I'll say it again until you really get it and let it sink in. Only 1% of white people were slave owners. 1%. And even all the white people who even did own slaves, of those 1%, not all of them were bad. Not all of them treated their slaves like trash and dog shit. Some of them became friends with them. Some of the slave owners had intercourse with their slaves. That's right. Oh, what a shocker. Ding, ding, ding. And, you know, some of these slave owners were really respectful of their slaves. And you know what? Eventually, even the ones who were respectful and kind and nice and compassionate and loving and whatnot to their slaves, the ones who were of that 1%, that one tiny percent, they eventually let them go. Now, as far as the wicked slave owners go, well, they're long gone. They're dead. And they're probably in hell. And I don't know what more the black youth here in the country of America honestly want from us white people. As if they expect us to still pay for their repercussions or whatever, or we have to pay for them being oppressed and underprivileged and deprived and all this other bullshit. Like, it's just, wow. I don't know. It just makes no sense to me at all whatsoever. And, you know, this may seem like I'm coming off a bit hard, but I love black people. And if I didn't love black people, why would I even take the time and effort to try to educate black people on these facts and inform them about all this truth that I'm speaking, that I'm taking the time and effort out of my day to do it? It's not like I don't enjoy it. I'm glad to do it because I care. I care about black people waking up after being so deceived by the mainstream media. Here's another fact that will shock a bunch of you black people, especially the black youth. More white people are killed by police officers. More white people are. You know why? You know why? Just wait. Because there's more white people in this country than black people. Obviously. I mean, again, don't take my word for it. Look up the statistics. More white people are killed by cops than black people. The reason why there is more like police brutality or whatever in the black community is because the ghettos are over-policed. That's why. That's why black people in the ghetto perhaps take more police brutality. But more white people are killed by police than black people, because there's more white people in this country. But a lot of black people that claim to be woke or whatever want to make it seem like, no, there's more black people in this country, and this country was originally ours, and black people built this country. This is a lot of stupid ass fucking bullshit narratives and notions that I see always said by supposedly quote unquote woke black people. Like, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. You know, and I'm not saying like, oh, black people can't invent anything or whatever, or can't create anything. Absolutely not. I didn't say that. That's making an assumption about me. That's not true. That's putting words in my mouth. But a lot of the things that you see in this country are in fact made by white people. That, and I mean no disrespect or offense to black people, but black people probably wouldn't come up with a lot of these ideas, like vehicles, houses, buildings, skyscrapers, roads, like all these electronics, all this materialism in this country. It was all thanks to white people. And you know what really surprises me is the fact that any black people in this country believe any amount of bullshit that comes out of the mouth of these so-called liberals who love them and who care about them and who worship black people and who are always trying to make news about how they are the race of people who suffer the most out of anyone else in the whole world. Like, out of any race in the whole world, black people have it the worst. They're the most oppressed, they're the most underprivileged and deprived, and they've just had it the worst all around. Like, oh my god, really? Oh my gosh. And, you know, secretly, these liberals are racist as fuck. And it's funny because, guess what? A lot of these people running these mainstream media news channels or whatever are white themselves. Oh yeah, you're white, but you're okay because you say you love black people so much, and you say you care about them, and you want what's best for them, and you really want to see them succeed and come out of the gutter and come out of the ashes. And like, oh my god, give me a fucking break, will you? Such a fucking liar. Shut the fuck up. You know, these liberals want to push for another civil war. And you know what they want? This time for Civil War number 2, they want black versus white. That's right. They want black people of America to have an all-out war, civil war that is, Civil War 2.0, or whatever you want to call it, with white people. And these liberals have been trying for so many years to actually wipe out the black people here in America, believe it or not. Also, another thing to note, you know, Bill Gates, oh, that wonderful guy who is the owner of Microsoft, a billionaire, and his wife who's a supposed so-called Catholic. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, right. That's more like a front. Bullshit ass bitch. They're Satanists. Yep, I said it. They're Satanists. And you know what Bill Gates did? He sterilized, I don't know how many. All I heard was it was a bunch of African women. I've seen black people angry about it too, even here from America, and saying Bill Gates need to apologize for what he did to the women in Africa. He gave them a shot, a vaccination shot, and he sterilized them, which means these poor women from the country of Africa, having probably no idea what he was actually giving them because he's an evil, wicked scumbag Satanist, and he's all about depopulation like literally every fucking goddamn liberal in Hollywood, all the politicians, all the celebrities, they're all fucking sick psychopaths, pretty much. He sterilized them. They're not going to be able to have babies. Like, they can kiss any chance of them having babies. Those beautiful women from Africa, they can kiss that chance goodbye, because Bill Gates, his sorry fucking punk ass, ruined it for them, because he's about depopulation. And you know who these liberals want to start with when they want to depopulate the world? And they want to depopulate like all races until it's down to like 500,000 or 500 million or some shit like that. They want to start with black people. You know why? Because for some odd, sad reason, black people are the most easiest to manipulate. Well, black people here in America anyways. They're the easiest to brainwash, manipulate, and whenever the media keeps feeding the black youth bullshit after bullshit after bullshit after bullshit, like all whites are racist, all whites are white devils, all whites are white supremacists, all whites are KKK members, and all whites are neo-fucking-Nazis. It gets these black people, especially youthful black people, kids, especially teenagers and young black people who are in like their 20s and 30s and whatnot, maybe 40s too, buying it and saying, oh yeah, fuck those white people, death to white people, death to America. And it's like, really? Really? Are you serious? You really hate white people, don't you? And yet you black people of America claim to not be racist, or you say this stupid bullshit like black people can't be racist because it's you say stuff like what's the word you guys use? It's I don't know what word you use. It's some bullshit ass thing lied to you by the mainstream media as usual, that you just buy, eat up, and fucking run with. Yeah. But the fact that you just even say black people can't be racist, yeah, that's sad. You know, that's really sad. Really sad. Because it's not true. Black people sure as hell can be racist. Any race of people can be racist. Like, on God. Any race of people can be racist. But you know what? There's a lot of good people in every race. And you know what makes me also shocked? Is the fact that black people here in America are totally and completely unaware of the fact that even black people from Africa say racist things about the black people here in America. Because they're not the same. They don't have the same culture. And actually, black people from the country of Africa find it extremely offensive when black people from America try to still act like Africans, because they found out about it and they did their research and they were told it by the mainstream media and whatnot, and they believe they can somehow like go back to Africa and like be accepted and welcomed in open arms. Oh, hello, brother black person from America, you'll totally be accepted here, even though you're actually an American and not an African. It doesn't matter what race you are. If you're born in the country of America, regardless of your race, you're an American. Sorry to break it to you. If you're born in Africa, hell, you could be a white person and be born in Africa. And then you would be African. You'd be a white African. Oh yeah. But it matters what country you're born in. In whatever country you're born in since birth, you're pretty much that, like, nationality or whatever. And a lot of blacks here in America, not all of them, but a lot of them act like African or whatever is some sort of race or whatever. No, I'm sorry, but it's actually a nationality. It's not a race. for all of you confused, uneducated black people here in America, I'm sorry you've been lied to by the mainstream media you keep on listening to because that's all you watch. And, you know, again, I feel sorry for you. You know what? I mean, yeah, I'm kind of laughing at this because, bro, I've known about this myself for a while. And, you know, I feel bad for the black youth. They've been so deceived and so tricked, so fooled, so lied to, so brainwashed by the mainstream media. And it's just so crazy. And, man. And I guarantee you, if any black person here from America were to try to go back to Africa and try to, like, somehow make it for themselves there, wouldn't work out. It would not work out. And you know, here's the crazy thing. So, back up a bit. I talked about how even black people from Africa actually say racist things about the black people here in America, that so many black people here in America act really prideful about supposedly being quote-unquote African, even though they're actually American or whatever, because their ancestors were originally African. I don't know. Africans, I've heard, actually from Africa, say that black people here in America are lazy as fuck. They say they complain too much. They say stuff like they're selfish and greedy and like self-entitled, self-absorbed and all that other shit. And that really shocked me because it's like, wow, this is coming from the black people from Africa who actually love education and would give anything to be an American. I am serious. They would give anything to be an American. And yet so many black people here in America are acting like being an American is the worst fucking thing ever. And they're like, fuck America, fucking white colonizers, fuck them, death to them or whatever. Like, crazy. And this is coming from someone, believe it or not, who loves black people in America. I have no hatred for any black people here in America. Because you know what? I don't judge people on their skin color. I judge them on the content of their character. And if someone has bad character, doesn't matter their race or skin color, that's nothing to do with it, I'll judge them. Because I'm like, wow, I can clearly see and recognize that's a bad person. That is a bad person. They have problems. They have issues that they need to deal with themselves and fix. But also, guess what? Does the media ever talk about the black people from the country of Africa who say really, really racist things about the black people here in America? Absolutely not. You would never hear that from the mouths of those wonderful, glorious liberals who are white and not black, but they try to appeal to black people, showing their utmost support for the black people here in America. Like, get the fuck out of here, you lying ass snakes. We should run those liberals out of this country, if anything. But anyway, you know what other race of people say pretty racist things about black people here in America? Two other ones that I've actually heard of. Mexicans, actually from the country of Mexico, in the comfort of their own home, because they're alone, secluded, and far away from black people in America, in secret. I've heard time and time again that Mexican parents in the country of Mexico, of course inside their own home, will call black people in America monkeys. They'll call them the N-words. And they'll also say they're the laziest, most selfish, self-entitled, self-absorbed, greedy race of people in America, and say that they complain too much. And I have also heard that Mexicans in the country of Mexico, one last thing they also say is that they should go back to where they originally came from. And that shocked me. And I can't make this shit up. Like, no lie, I cannot make this up. Believe it or not, I'm not making this up. I've seen this. I've seen Mexican guys get into such intense arguments with black people in the comment section on YouTube, and my mouth drops. Because I think it's so mean. I think it's so mean and disgusting. And Asians too. I've heard that Asians call black people of America monkeys, N-word, lazy. They complain a lot, self-entitled, self-absorbed, and selfish and greedy. Including black people from the country of Africa. Now, black people from the country of Africa don't call them the N-word or monkeys, but people in Mexico do. The parents of Mexican kids talk about this in the comfort of their own home, and Asian people talk about that shit a lot too over in their country. But black people in the country of Africa still do call them lazy, self-entitled, self-absorbed, selfish, greedy, lazy complainers. And I think it's just sad. I don't know what more to say. I just think it's sad. And I don't know what more to say. But I love all black people in America. Even the ones that have troubles and problems. I just hope that you can all be happy and at peace someday and find yourselves and to get better and hopefully wake up. Peace.